Very good Twitter account. His Twitter account is fantastic.
Good is definitely an interesting word to
is
choose.
A true term. Is
Duke
the
X-Fam
correct
also
term.
a great social media account to follow if you want. I don't even know. What do I tweet?
Absolute garbage.
Yeah. If you want that
Avoidable.
on your feed,
Avoid at all costs. Like the coronavirus, avoid at all costs.
Wow. All right. Well, JerryK versus Josuut, game number 1. JerryK is going to be coming in with the Xavier Woods versus Josuut over to the Olgrim. Again, we're starting to see Lance come up in the meta. We talked about how Bo's been getting picked up, but we're also seeing a lot more people start to pick up this Lance.
Yeah, Lance is a big point of contention. Oh, Josuut falling very low. JerryK is going to touch. There comes the ground pound. There comes a second ground pound. JerryK having the easiest edge guard of his entire life, finishing it up with that hammer ground pound that came right after an unarmed ground pound that came right after a sword ground pound.
A very straightforward edge guard coming out from JerryK versus Josuut. Josuit's going to have some trouble if he stays off edge with this Lance. Lance tends to struggle in the off stage because it doesn't have the strongest kind of vertical against itself, as well as the fact that that recovery kind of locks them in place. It's very easy to hit a weapon toss and completely stuff out the recovery.
Yeah, you saw when I was playing Magma Bob right before this, he was charging that recovery, and all it took was a weapon toss to completely delete that stock. That's something Lance players have to be so careful about.
Josuut, though, doing a decent job coming back into this. He was able to take the stock off of JerryK, but he did take a little bit of damage there. It is going to be troublesome if he maintains on this kind of path of taking little bits of damage as it goes.
Nice little string there coming up from Josuut. Still continuing. Side air from JerryK is going to send Josuut to the edge, but you see him starting with the side air. He's high enough that using the side air won't cost him a jump or anything. Just raw, unarmed, side heavy.
And JerryK is going to maintain that stock advantage, going to juggle the weapons for a hot minute, just kind of delay that weapon spawn, but Josuut again able to pick up a weapon spawn. It's going to be the Lance again.
Keep in mind, we are in the loser's bracket, so whoever wins this is going to be continuing on, and the loser will be out of the tournament. Our match was originally scheduled to be Tiger versus Ghoul, but we have changed it down into the loser's bracket for Josuut versus JerryK. Gonna weapon starve, go over to the Lance. The unarmed side air. Man, those gravity cancel side signatures from Josuut.
Yeah, these wake-ups coming out from Josuut are very effective. JerryK trying to keep that aggression on top of him, and unfortunately getting punished a little bit for it as he's almost over-aggressing against him.
I was playing twos with Taza earlier today, and we ran into a bunch of Olgrims. Oh, man! The twin side light into side air. Twins big like Tia and Tamara still continuing this damage. Josuut has the lead, but I learned to respect that side signature so much more after playing twos today.
Ooh. Side signature is very effective. JerryK, though, able to hit a side signature onto Josuut. Gonna deny the weapon pickup. Has the hammer, but the health and damage is relatively even between the two, especially considering Josuut's on this Olgrim, this high defense character. It is possible for him to close out game number 1 despite that early stock loss.
You saw Josuut throw that weapon toss down, trying to give him a safe escape. Back to the ground, the nair from JerryK, juggling Josuut up, getting the knockout off the top. Just 10 damage difference between those two.
Really well played from Josuut and JerryK. Of course, you got to commend Josuut, though, to get that comeback despite, again, that early stock loss. He had a very troublesome edge guard, and I think he recognized, you know what, JerryK has kind of got the better edge play against me, so I'm going to just not go on the edge. We saw a lot more neutral from him, keeping some level of ground underneath his character.
Now, no character swaps going into this next game. The curious thing is if JerryK can maybe force Josuut onto the axe. We didn't see very much axe play coming out from him. He seemed to be primarily a Lance boy for most of last game.
Yeah, it almost was like kind of indicative of like the North American Coslicks, where he would actually prime the Lance. He would throw away the axe every time he had it and then go back to that Lance. It is a little bit interesting, especially considering I think JerryK's got some pretty decent weapons to use against Lance. Of course, Hammer with a very strong vertical game will have opportunities to play against that Lance, as well as the fact that both Hammer and Sword can do those gravity cancels to dodge through like a side air and then get an immediate downlight out of it for a punish.
JerryK putting some space between him and Josuut. That's something that he might need to rely on. It's just outrunning the dares. When Josuut dares down into the platform, that'll put him in a tremendous amount of recovery time. But it seems like he's not doing as many dares to initiate. He's staying very grounded, doing a lot of grounded sayers and also a lot of sidelights.
Well, now he's starting to get some aerials into it, get that dare into the side air.
Yeah, that's a classic option. Reading the jump up or a dodge up coming out from JerryK, you'll see a lot of Lance players. They'll hit a grounded move or a move near to the ground and then immediately try to catch the jump with a side air. Oh, just barely. JerryK wins out priority with the recovery. That would have been the killing side air. And JerryK with that is going to get the first stock and keep his lead.
And of course, he is going to try to juggle weapons for a hot minute. Ends up with the hammer. Nice recovery. Couldn't quite fast fall low enough to get through that soft platform to maintain pressure on top of Josuut. But again, Josuut with these wake-ups just throws out a recovery, knowing that JerryK is going to try to maintain this pressure on top of him.
Comes in with the sword. Starts off with the sidelight. The range that Josuut has with this lance. Ooh, ground pounding. Immediately JerryK punishes that with the side air. I expected a weapon toss.
I really liked the way that JerryK did that kind of punish is he went underneath the soft platform. The worst case scenario is Josuut is just going to crash onto that platform and lock himself into recovery frames. JerryK kind of gave himself some protection there against a ground pound, or even if he did a weapon toss, very like characteristic of Lance players is like when they're in a vertical position, throw the weapon away so they can play that vertical game better.
Jerry finding some nice steam with his hammer onto this final stock at Josuut. More than a full stock lead. Starting to cut out a little bit of the momentum that Josuut's lance had. D-Light Dare. See him positioning over on the edge. He's not going to quite get those easy ground pounds like he did in game one, but he finds the dare. Oh. Charging up the recovery, just takes it out with the down air. Comes in at that perfect angle to contest. If Josuut wants to hold that and charge it for as long as he can to get the maximum travel distance, JerryK is going to find that vector, go right in with the down air and knock it out.
That is surprising to see him go for that down air. Most players would play a little bit safer, especially considering Josuut was in the monocle, not able to exactly see where he was. It was a little bit risky to go down there because he could have given him the hit into like a chase dodge up. I guess he was so low, chase dodge probably wouldn't have survived. But it is interesting he went down there instead of just like sit on the wall, wait for him to commit to that recovery, and then hit him with a ground pound.
I think he knew the position that he was in at the end of the game. He knew he was a full stock up onto Josuut. He knew that if he lost that stock there, wasn't a big deal. If he got that knockout, that was going to secure the game. That was going to get a lot of momentum in his favor, and he can carry that over into this game onto Demon Island. Man, he's finding everything here untouched on this first stock.
So incredibly healthy. Finally gets hit by the side air from Josuut, but that's really not enough damage to bring him back into this one. We've seen Josuut able to minimize damage differences between himself and JerryK before, but still. Oh, wow, okay.
Oh,
he did it. There you go.
Man.
I was just saying it, and he did it just for me. He hits the Lance Gimp on the left side to get the stock off of JerryK.
Josuut, the demon of Demon Island, somehow just completely stealing that stock. But you don't know what that is. That could just be a landform.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That's probably natural. Well, really well done from Josuut. It looked troublesome for him. It looked like he was going to be down a full stock behind JerryK, and he got exactly the Gimp that he needs, but you can't really rely on those kinds of Gimps. Okay.
Plenty of movement options. Doesn't even need to throw his weapon. Has the sword back in his hand. We've seen him do edgeguard work with that. You see the slide charge down signature. Not anywhere near Josuut, but still, that could spell disaster for Josuut on the edge.
More side airs coming out from Josuut. Gonna take the opportunity to prime the weapon. JerryK so far to the left. Josuut had the time, but the side sig will connect. JerryK takes back the lead.
And that right there is why I think there is a very good chance that JerryK will take the set against Josuut. I think once he finds out Josuut's timing and spacing, he's going to be able to just back up from everything that Josuut has and punish immediately.
That used to be the answer to Lance, is just back up. Every time they commit to those horizontal air approaches, you just backdash it and then you punish it.
Swapping over to the Lance once again. JerryK going in unarmed. That gimp that we saw earlier, that's definitely not something that Josuut can rely on consistently in any of his games. Just like JerryK can't rely on the triple ground pound to take out a stock like we saw in Miami Dome.
Over onto the right side. This would be one of those opportunities for JerryK to hit those triple ground pounds, but good movement for Josuut and a nice weapon toss from JerryK. We'll take it 3-0 to continue on in the bracket, and thus we see the end of the run of Josuut.
Man, that was really, really quick. It was looking super close in the beginning, and then JerryK just kind of ran away with that.
It kind of leveled up throughout the match, really started to get a lot of momentum. I think it's kind of like what you were saying at the start of game number 3, which is that the way that he closed out game number 2 was a huge momentum builder for him, right? He had so much in the advantage of stock and advantage of health that he could make those kind of wild plays that kind of messes with the opponent's head. So he had a lot of momentum in game 3 to just kind of start running away with it.
Now, that's why you're seeing JerryK